Well, today I'm actually bringing you some lost footage, stuff that I shot back in the springtime on our property. So enjoy! More exciting news, when I came over here to show you the thing that I came out here for, I discovered yet another, what looks to be maybe a cherry tree, growing up in the tree line on our property line over here. Could also be apple. It looks more like the, I'm just not sure. It looks like a fruit tree anyway, the shape of the leaves, and it's blooming at the same time. The bark looks like a fruit tree anyway. So we'll see what comes from this. And actually, now that I look at this, yeah, I think cherry. I think there's old dried up remnants of cherries on here. So I'm going to have to be more careful cleaning out this tree line than I originally thought. I did not realize there were other fruit trees in here. But what I really came down here to show you were these. And I'll give you a close-up look in a minute. But our property is mostly wooded. We're here in the Pacific Northwest. And most of the trees are Douglas fir. And in the springtime, you can see how the tips are differently colored than the rest of the branch. This is new growth. They're very tender and soft, and they have a citrusy pine scent. This is the first year that I have known about these to know what they were. I did try one, and it tastes kind of like what I expect a pine tree to taste like. It's kind of bitter, but mild, and it's kind of Christmassy. So these are supposed to make really good tea and all kinds of salves and other things. You can just eat these fresh little tips. Actually, it's edible all year round, but the fresh little tips are supposed to be milder. Show you that. So I'm going to collect a jar full of these, and I might make some tea later. Whenever you're harvesting these, you need to make sure that you're not taking so much from one tree that, because you're taking all the new growth. This is the new growth is what you're taking, that you don't damage your tree. But we have 5 acres here, and probably 2.5 to 3 of it is wooded, and it's mostly Douglas fir. So I'm not going to be hurting anything to take as much as I want of these, and I'm basically just going to fill. I have a jar here. Basically, just going to fill a mason jar and. This year will be the experiment. I'm going to dry some. I'm going to make some tea with some. I might make a salve. It's supposed to be good for arthritis, and I have arthritis in my knees, so I'm going to pick some, walking around the property, and then we'll experiment with it, and I'll update you on whatever happens with that. I should also tell you, most species of evergreen trees are edible, but there are a couple that are not. So make sure you do your research. Don't take my word for it, and make sure that you know how to identify your trees. With the Douglas fir, I know that the needles on the branches should go all the way around the branches, that they should be somewhat flat and pointed but not sharp. The backside of the needle should have 2 very skinny white lines going down the length of it. And the bark on older trees, at least, is deeply grooved. So there are a number of ways to identify different kinds of trees. There are pines, firs, there's a lot of different kinds, and some of them are not okay to eat, but most of them are. So make sure you understand how to identify the different kinds, and specifically any ones that you're going to be harvesting regularly that are maybe on your property or around your property, to make sure that you're being safe. I wanted to show you kind of a close-up of the Douglas fir leaves and branches. You can see how the needles go all the way around the branch. They're not just on 2 sides. And these needles, they do come to a point, but they're not sharp at all. And then if you turn them over, You can see when you get close the 2 white lines that go up the back of each needle. These are all things that help you identify. So something else to keep in mind is with very young trees like this one, this tiny little beautiful tree, it's got the new growth tips too, but you never want to harvest off of young trees like that. They still need to grow. They have a lot of growing left to do. So I hope you enjoyed that little short video tidbit about using the spring tips off of evergreen trees. Do make sure that you do your own research and identify the trees that you plan to use for anything that you're going to ingest or apply to your body. Definitely don't take my word for it. I am not an expert. As the seasons change on my homestead and I see what's happening here, I go research and look it up. I encourage you to do the same. That's all I've got for you today. We'll see you on the next video.